Hi, I'm Matt Armstrong and I'm the Design Director on Prototype 2, and I'm here today to talk you through one of the early missions in the game. What we're seeing here is James Heller, our new protagonist, and he's found out that Blackwatch and Gentek are up to something suspicious inside this base, so he's going to try to infiltrate and find out exactly what's going on. And in order to do this, he's shapeshifted into the disguise form of a Blackwatch soldier, which of course frightens nearby civilians. And he's going to use this form to access a hand scanner, which of course accepts him as being genuinely a Blackwatch soldier and lets him into the base compound. Now what you really want to do here is just go into the base itself, but there's an opportunity now for us to take this particular guy with the icon over his head and consume him for a little bit of extra experience points that will build us up towards our next level. And what we're going to do here is show off one of the unique elements of our new hunting mechanic, which allows us to send a pulse into the world, which not only tells us who our targets are, but in this case tells us who is being watched and who is not being watched. If an enemy is highlighted in red, that means that he's being watched by somebody else and can't be safely consumed. But if the target is highlighted in white, that means nobody is currently watching him. And I can now walk up to him, like this guy, and I can just grab him, consume him, and nobody is any the wiser. And of course, as you can see from the top right of the screen, I've got my EP bonus and I'm ready to go. So now that I'm all set, I'm just going to wander over to this nearby hand scanner, and I'm going to use my disguise form again to get past Blackwatch's security and infiltrate the interior of the facility. So now that we're inside, let's take a little listen and find out what's going on.
Commencing Hydra DNA extraction test 416 for civilian and bioweapon testing. Secondary observation. Measure Hydra responsiveness, strength, and range of tendril attack. Tendril attack? I'm gonna see this.
So it appears that Heller's sources were correct. Gentek really are up to something sinister in this particular base.
Hey, careful! Move back! It's convulsing! Move back! It's supposed to be sedated! What's agitating it? It's gotta be some outside factor! The protocol hasn't changed! Get the subject sedated! Now!
So now that the Hydra's free, the fight's really on, and Heller's got a number of different options at his disposal. This is probably the most sensible way to deal with this particular enemy, by trying to use the arsenal of weaponry that Blackwatch have left lying around, in this case the rocket launcher, which is a great way to try to deal with the Hydra and keep it at arm's length. Alternatively, you also have assault rifles, which are useful tools, but do considerably less damage. Explosive barrels are always a winner as well, as different ways of just weaponizing your environment in order to help take down a massive enemy. And the interesting thing about the Hydra is of course that it can get to you no matter where that you are. It has this attack using an internal tendril that it can spit out to try and grab you and pull you into its maw in order to cause massive damage. So Heller's always at his best when he's on the move and continuously trying to stay active within the environment to get away from these attacks. And now that Heller has defeated and consumed the Hydra, he's gained himself a brand new power in the form of tendrils to add to his ever-growing arsenal. And what we're going to do now is we're going to show you how Heller combines two powers, the claws and the tendrils, in order to deal with a bunch of enemy reinforcements. So we start out with a claw pounce in order to take a large bunch of them down, and then switch instantaneously to the tendrils and begin grabbing large groups of enemies, or even using our uppercut consume in order to tear an enemy apart and gain health in the same motion. So as you can see from that last section, one of the new things that we brought to Prototype is the ability to effectively dual wield your powers, and you can combine any two powers in a variety of different ways to gain different effects. But when it comes to the tendrils, Heller has one last trick left up his sleeve. What we're going to see here is a bunch of Blackwatch reinforcements coming in, attempting one last shot at dealing with him. But what Heller can do is project his biomass through the tendrils and grab all of the different objects and entities within the room and slam them together to incredibly devastating effect. And that's just a little sneak peek at some of the crazy, awesome, over-the-top action that we're bringing to the table with Prototype 2. I hope you all enjoyed.